Good afternoon to everyone out there. Good afternoon. Well, okay, folks. So what we're going to be doing here this afternoon is swapping out a negative battery terminal. All right. We're going to swap out this old one for this one right here. Okay. For a 2004, 2005 Mercury Sable. As you can see here, Duratec 24 valve, dual overhead cam V6 engine. Move this out of the way for you guys here. Yeah, these are very good engines here that Ford Motor Company produces. Very rarely have I heard any mechanical problems out of these things. You know, even after a certain mileage, well over 100,000 miles, these things rarely have any mechanical issues. Electrical, maybe. And that's not with the engine. That's pretty much interior with the body of the car, maybe the instrument panels or, the door lights and stuff like that. But never really anything with the engine, so to speak. So these are very good engines that Ford Motor Company produces for these cars, But as I've said, the focus today will be just the battery terminal. All right. I don't think this one ever been changed. This one right here, as you can see, it looked like it's relatively new, probably 4 or 5 years or so, I guess, maybe. Still in good shape. But this one right here, it's what's giving the issue, as you can see here, with the wires. And the one that's going to the frame of the car here, the ground negative wire, I guess it keeps coming apart. So we're going to swap that out and put this right here on it, okay? So both of these wires here can sort of blend into each other and go into this right here, all right? So these two nuts here can hold it down tightly. As you can see here, it's not really anything holding it together firmly. So it's not catching, and sometimes the car doesn't crank because of it. All right, so that's what we're going to swap out here. Should be an easy job. I just got to take these pliers here, just loosen up this bolt here, and everything should come loose. The battery terminal itself is very loose. I could just pull that right on off. And as you can see, all of these things is not coming together as it should. So sometimes it causes the car not to start as it should. Okay. So that's what we're going to swap out there. And it should be no less than probably 15 minutes tops, if anything. All right. So we'll get back with you guys. Well, okay, guys. So as you can see here, just to give you a little midway visual here, I got the screw loose. I just untighten it. As the old-fashioned saying goes, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And that's pretty much what all screws, nuts, and bolts. All right, so just to let you know as a little reminder, as you're loosening any kind of screw, any kind of bolt or nut, if you want to loosen it, always turn to your left. All right, if you want to tighten it, always turn to your right. Okay, so just to give you a little heads up, we're halfway done here. And as you can see, the threads to this cord here, this terminal, is sort of breaking loose as I'm doing it. So when I take this old terminal off, I'm going to twist these wires together, and then I'm going to stick them both in this right here. And that should hold it pretty good. All right. So let me go ahead and knock that out of the way, get this off, and let's get to it. All right. Okay, guys, and one more thing. Sometime with these terminals, these kind of terminals here, the wiring to these things sometime might be a little stuck. So you might have to like sort of get your pliers and sort of see if you can sort of squeeze it like this right here to make it open again. You know, sometime it works, sometime it doesn't. You know, it all depends on how strong your hand is, right? Your grip. But sometimes these wirings to the terminals get stuck in these things, you know, and sometimes you'll have to do that. Or the next option would be to sort of like clip this wire from this. Okay. So you'll probably have to clip this wire and sort of cut down on the covering, you know, the heat covering of this terminal here, this terminal wiring, and just bring it together like this, right? So that's all you pretty much need to do if you having problem with these kind of terminals here. Just sort of cut this off here if you can't squeeze it, and open it up a little bit so you can pull it. So you can just clip it right here if you have any clippers, and sort of expose this a little more, you know, so you can twist it together, and then you put those two cords through this right here. All right, just to give you guys a little head up with this right here, just in case if you're going through the same issue, if you have this kind of battery terminal. All right, I'll be right back. Well, okay, guys, so as you can see here, I got the terminal off. What I tried to do first is sort of like give this a squeeze so it can kind of, you know, open it up a little bit or broaden it so I can pull it off, but pretty much was unsuccessful with that. So what I did is just took this scissors here and cut it off. All right, as you can see here, you know, this is the wire that goes to the frame of the car, and this is the main ground wire. All right, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take this razor here, this old tried and true rusted razor, and what I'm going to do is cut this this rubber here. Right, as I've said before, I'm going to expose this. Okay, going to expose these rubbers. Going to do the same thing for this right here. I really don't need to do this right here, but it's actually a good idea to do it because this ground wire runs to the frame of the car. So as you're trying to give someone a jump, you know, that electricity, excuse me, is going to go to the frame of the car instead of your battery and killing your battery. All right, that's what most people do. You know, when they give someone a jump, they usually take the positive side of the cables and put it on that, and then take the negative cable and put it on a screw that's on the frame. All right, maybe one of these right here, or, you know, something that's on the engine, right? Something like that, or, you know, any kind of negative ground screw that you can put that battery terminal to. Personally, that's what I do. All right, so it's always a good idea to sort of like, if you have any negative terminal wiring that's connected to your frame, to connect it right back to the main ground line. All right, so that's what we're going to do now. We're going to take this razor and we're going to cut this wiring down a little bit, maybe to about right here, I guess. We'll take like a ½ inch off both ground cords, and we're going to twist them right back together, and then we're going to push it right through this right here, tighten these two bolts down, as I said before, righty tighty, lefty loosey, and it should be completed. All right, and then we'll start it right on up. Okay, be right back. Well, okay, guys, so as you can see here, midway through the job, I exposed these wires here. Okay, it's about maybe 3/4 of an inch. All right, these are the rubber pieces right here that I cut off with this razor here. It's not hard to do, pretty simple. You just got to be very careful as you cutting this, because if you don't have any gloves on, you can easily give yourself a pretty bad cut there. Next thing you know, you wind up in the ER getting at least probably 10 to 15 stitches. But anyway, just like I said, it's a pretty simple job. If you have any idea of clue of what you're trying to do concerning this right here, it's just changing a simple battery terminal. You don't have to go to a mechanic to do this. This is a sort of a 1, 2, 3 job. It could be much easier than this right here, but being that this terminal is kind of old here, and it's not even necessarily because it's old, it's the kind of terminal that you have. So this right here, it's like, just like I said, the wiring, the cords for the negative terminal was sort of jammed in this, and you can tell it was squeezed with a pliers or something, so the terminal wouldn't come loose from this. All right, so this terminal been on here a pretty long time, as you can see, and this positive one was recently changed. So being that I exposed this wiring to the negative terminal cords, I'm just going to stick it in this right here. And as you can see here, where it goes is sort of adjustable, so you can adjust it, in width as much as you need to get these wirings in here, and which shouldn't be much. As you can see here, side by side comparison, it's not much space needed to put these two wires together and put it into this one little hole here. All right, so that should be the last part of this job that I have to do, and that should crank the car right on up. All right, so we're gonna do that real quick, and we'll be right back. Well, okay, guys, so as you can see, we got that terminal on here. All right, we got both wires on here. That's the main ground wire, as you can see, and then the other ground that's going to the frame of the car, and we're done. All right, so always make sure that this ground wire, it's all the way in this terminal, and make sure it's nice and tight so that it just don't slip out easily when you're driving, and if you hit a uneven pavement or a bump or a pothole in the road, these things can come flying out, and then the next thing you know, your car can lose power, and then of course with that, you're going to lose your braking and your steering, and God forbid it happen at nighttime, so this thing slip out on you, and not only are you going to lose your power with your steering and your braking, but you're also going to lose your headlight, and that can be very, very catastrophic. So you want to make sure that you have these bolts here just tight enough. You don't want to torque it too much that you break the fibers that's within these cords here. All right, so just torque it enough that it can be tough enough to hold it, but not too tough to break the fibering that's right here. All right, so this is pretty much done. Takes less than 10-15 minutes. As you can see here on the timing of the video, it would have been more quicker than that, but I just wanted to give you guys a video of doing this. I thought to myself, as I'm changing this right here, hey, why not make a video, just in case someone have to do the same and they may not be sure of what to do. I mean, it's a pretty easy, simple job. You know, if you've owned a vehicle more than 5 years or so, you pretty much should know how to do something like this right here. If you're not afraid of electricity. So it's a pretty easy job. You know, I don't think that you need to go to a mechanic for this right here, you know, for them to beat you over the head and charge you like an extra $100 for something that you can do yourself. So it's pretty simple, easy. You know, I don't know what kind of car you may have, but this right here, as I've said earlier, you know, it's a 2004 Mercury Sable, Duratec dual overhead 24 valve V6 engine. But, you know, pretty much all batteries is universal. So, you know, it's a pretty easy job, you know. So the next thing that we do, it's put this on here. You know, you pretty much want to keep your hands clear of the terminal while you're putting this on here because, you know, the positive is already on there and you don't want to risk, you know, electrocuting yourself as you're doing it. So we're just going to slip that on here real quick. And also, you know, this right here is your adjuster for the tightness and the torque of your terminal here. All right. So I got it loose here so I can just slip it on. And then, of course, when I have it on there, I can pretty much tighten it to my liking. All right. So it's on there. As you can see, you heard the spark. So that lets you know that you have power. And we're going to crank this bad boy up and we're going to let you know that it works. It runs. All right. It's alive. It's alive. For those who know about Frankenstein back in the day, right? If you're from the old school. All right. So anyway, be right back. Well, okay, guys. So as you can see, we got her on there. She's nice and firm and nice and tight. You know, I don't want it to be too tight because I didn't want to torque it too much. As you can see, it's pretty much almost closed there. You know, it's unlike this right here. This is, you know, you didn't really have to torque this too much, you know, to get this firm and tight on there. This one, I really had to like really twist it. You know, maybe sometime in the near future, I might still swap this out, you know, and get something like this right here. But this is on there firmly. You know, it's firm. It's sort of loose a little bit because I couldn't really get it too tight, you know, right here as I was torquing it. So I might have to swap that out. But nonetheless, it's on there and it should work. All right. So let's fire up and see how it does. Okay. All right. Let's give her a go. Well, okay, guys, here we go. There you have it. Running just like new. Alrighty then. So this is what you have to do, folks. When you have to change a negative battery terminal for your car. For this one in particular, as I've said, 2004 Mercury Sable, Duratec engine, 24 valve, dual overhead cam V6. All right. But as I've said before, I still want to swap this out because I'm sort of concerned with the tightness of this terminal holder here. But nonetheless, as I've said, it's holding it, and I'm pretty sure the car is going to run pretty well until I swap that out. All right. And you can find this at your local auto parts store. You can go into the AutoZone or the Bill O'Reilly or Advanced Auto Parts. It's not that much. It'll probably set you back like, I don't know, maybe $6-7. All right. But I want to get a smaller one, sort of like this right here, so it can hold it firmly in place like this one right here. You know, this one right here is still, it's a good terminal. Don't get me wrong. It's very good terminal, good quality terminal, but it's not really firm and tight as I would like it to be holding this battery. All right. Okay, guys, so that's it. You know, thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, if it helped you in any kind of way, you know, give it a thumbs up, share. You know, I know it's a pretty simple job. You know, it's just the battery terminal, but you still have some people out there who may not know how to do this, you know. So I decided to put it in the video. All right. All right. So till next time, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening.